All right, so move on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my NBA first round playoff predictions now for the East and the Western Conference. Now, as I record this segment, the next coming days we're gonna have the NBA play-in tournament. So some of the playoff series are not locked up just yet. So I'll be going over the playoff series that are official, the four NBA playoff series that are official right now, two in the East, two in the West. That's the predictions I'll have for you guys in this segment. So starting off with the East, we'll start off with the Eastern Conference first. You have the third seeded New York Knicks taking on the sixth seeded Detroit Pistons. I feel like this is going to be one of, if not the best playoff series in the entire duration of the NBA playoffs in the first round. And give me the Detroit Pistons to win this series in six. I'll go six. I'll go the Detroit Pistons winning in six. I think the Knicks have a bad draw in the first round. And I'm trusting the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham, the future is now in Detroit. And he's played at an elite level this year, averaged 26 points per game, one of the best guards in the NBA this year. But the Pistons have the New York Knicks numbered. They have defeated the New York Knicks this year 3 times and only lost to the Knicks once. And the Knicks are allergic to beating good teams. They've been allergic all year long. I mean, looking at their record against the Eastern Conference, some of the best teams in the East, they're 1-11. They have a combined record, 1 win, 11 losses against the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, and the Detroit Pistons this NBA season. And a lot of people don't talk about how well defensively the Detroit Pistons have played since the All-Star break. They ranked top 10 in defensive rating since the All-Star break. They're a great defensive unit. So I feel like the Knicks have gotten a bad draw. I feel like the Pistons, they're here, they're hungry, and we're going to see them shine and pull off a big upset in the first round. And I really feel like this can happen. But I know some people might think that this Pistons team isn't ready, but they play great all year long. And yes, the playoffs are a different atmosphere, especially in the Garden and Madison Square Garden. But if there's anybody that you could trust, it's Cade Cunningham. And Cade Cunningham has delivered as a clutch performer. Had several game-winning shots this year. Had some great performances this year. I'm trusting this Detroit Pistons team to give the Knicks a lot of problems. This is a bad draw and a nightmare scenario. The Knicks were better off if they could playing a team like the Pacers or the Bucks in the first round, other than the Celtics or the Cavs. But this is definitely a bad draw for New York. Plus, I could see the coaching being a problem in this series, believe it or not, for the New York Knicks. I mean, Tom Thibodeau, everybody knows that he loves to run a 7 to 9 man rotation. Is that going to be enough against this Detroit Pistons squad? I think he needs all hands on deck for this series, and I feel like he could be the scapegoat and getting fired if the Knicks are a first round exit this NBA postseason. But give me the Pistons. I had them in 7. But I'm thinking they'll put it away in 6 because you don't want to go to a Game 7 atmosphere in Madison Square Garden. So I think if it gets to 6 and they have Game 6, if it goes there, the series goes that far, it will be in Detroit. But I feel like the Detroit Pistons will put away the Knicks in Game 6. So the final series I'll go over in the East, you have the 4th seeded Indiana Pacers taking on the 5th seeded Milwaukee Bucks. Now, this is a rematch from the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs last year. These two teams matched up against each other. But the story last year was that Giannis was not healthy for the duration of this series, and Damian Lillard eventually went down. So the Bucks lost 2 of their elite players in the series last year. The Indiana Pacers capitalized on that. They won this series in 6, and they actually went all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Played some banged up teams, but regardless, the Pacers were there. But this time around, it's an interesting series because Giannis is fully healthy for the first time in the postseason in the last 2 years. And this year he averaged 30 points per game, 12 rebounds, shot 60% from the field, which is going to be very important. But the only alarming part for the Bucks is the uncertainty of Damian Lillard's health. The blood clots we know he's dealing with, we don't know when he's going to come back. We don't know if he's truly going to be available for this series. But if they get Damian Lillard, this is a huge boost for their confidence for how far the Bucks can go this NBA postseason. But I think Tyrese Halliburton's going to have to step up big for the Indiana Pacers, give them a big scoring spark. And I want to see how Pascal Siakam matches up against the wing pairing of Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis out there. how he takes advantage of them offensively with the ball in his hands, scoring, and I want to see how well he plays defensively, having to guard one of these players to shut them down offensively. So this is going to be an interesting series. I think this one's going to 7. Give me the Bucks to win this series in 7. I don't see Giannis being sent home 3 years in a row in the first round. I just don't see it happening, and I feel like the Bucks are going to be too much for the Pacers to handle. Now, depth-wise, the Pacers do have more depth than Milwaukee Bucks right now, but if you're talking about a player that could be unstoppable, uncontained, and have his fingerprints all over this series, it's Giannis, and I feel like they're just going to be too much for the Indiana Pacers to handle. So give me the Bucks to win this series. Plus, also I'll add in the fact that the Bucks are 3-1 against the Indiana Pacers this year in head-to-head competition, which gives me more of a reason why to lean towards the Bucks, because they had their number in the 4 meetings that they had in Eastern Conference play against each other this year. So give me the Bucks to win the series in 7. Let's move on to the Western Conference. So you will have the 3rd-seeded Los Angeles Lakers taking on the 6th-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves. Give me the Lakers in 6. And I like the Lakers heading into the postseason. I really am high on them. A hot take, they could make it all the way to the Western Conference Finals this year, depending on what happens out in the West. I think it's anybody's ball game out there in the West if you're an elite contending team. But I trust the duo of LeBron James and Luka Doncic in this first round against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think AR Austin Reeves is going to show up in this series as well. But I also trust the depth that the Lakers have as well. Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Dorian Finney-Smith, and several others are going to step up in this series as well. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, I really don't have faith in Julius Randle in the postseason. Everybody knows how he can choke when his team needs him the most in the postseason, having bad playoff performances in the past with the New York Knicks. And Rudy Gobert, believe it or not, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, could be overrated all-time as an all-time defender, but he actually struggles against small ball lineups, and the Lakers are a small ball team because they don't have that depth that has the presence of what Anthony Davis once was in LA. I mean, Jackson Hayes has been playing better, don't get me wrong, but small ball is what the Lakers are what JJ Redick's gonna give to the Minnesota Timberwolves throughout this series. So I'm really confident in the Lakers winning this in 6. I just feel like it's going to be too much for Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. There's no Karl-Anthony Towns this time in Minnesota for the playoffs. And I feel like I feel like Anthony Edwards is going to have to be picture perfect throughout the duration of the playoffs. So I'm not really feeling that for the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team that was just a few games away from making the NBA Finals last year. They're going to get sent home in the first round by the hands of the Lakers. But I am looking forward to a couple things for the Lakers here, because I like I just said, I have a good feeling that they could do some big things in the West this year in the playoffs. But I'm looking forward to see if size will be an issue, because yes, Rudy Gobert does struggle against small ball lineups, but that is a big, and that could be a sample size of what you're going to be fed in the Western Conference, because the Clippers, they have Zubac. They have some size. OKC, their bigs are Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein. The Nuggets have the size as well. I'll get to them in a moment, depending on how far they go. I just want to see how the Lakers deal with the adversity of not having a big in the first round. And like I just said a few moments ago, Jackson Hayes has been playing much better. But getting Luka Doncic was nice, but you did have to pay a pretty price of giving up a generational talent player and AD, a big that could do it all on both ends of the court. So we'll see if that's going to be the downfall for the Lakers for the playoffs. But give me the Lakers in 6 against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And last but not least, you have the 4th-seeded Denver Nuggets taking on the 5th-seeded Los Angeles Clippers. Give me the Clippers in 6. I'm leaning towards the Clippers a lot. I favor them a lot in this series. Now, on the poll today, 62% of you guys on our social media polls actually predicted that the Nuggets win this series over the Clippers. I disagree. And the fact that Kawhi Leonard and James Harden have been balling out this season, playing great basketball together, gives me a lot of confidence, and makes me believe in the Clippers this year. And a healthy Kawhi Leonard is something that the Western Conference does not want to see. And the Clippers are hot. They've won 19 out of their last 21 ball games. I trust the Clippers' depth more than the Denver Nuggets. I'm looking at their team. They got Zubac. They got Norman Powell, Derrick Jones Jr. They got better rotation players than the Denver Nuggets right now. Plus, coaching is going to be a big factor in this series. There's no more Michael Malone. Michael Malone was fired last week. 5 to 4 games before the NBA playoffs. And Ty Lue, they have the coaching advantage of Ty Lue, former NBA champion. He has his playoff experience, but a lot of people are not talking about Jeff Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy has helped the Clippers play much better defensively all year long. Has been a great assistant coach for the Clippers this year. So I feel like the job that he's done coaching on that staff has gone under the radar. Maybe we'll get some NBA looks to be an NBA head coach next year with the firings going on around the league. But I have that funny feeling if Kawhi can stay healthy, look out Western Conference. I'm telling you guys, look out. And James Harden, yes, he's faded away at times in the playoffs, inconsistent at times, yes, but this is the best I've seen these two players look in a long time with a lot of depth out there in LA with the Clippers. Plus, they have a good rotation of players that can step up, role players that can step up and be used when needed most. But those are my NBA first round playoff predictions.